Today we are going to look at Eveline by James Joyce, the characters in the short story. So, this is one of the most difficult short stories, according to students, but I feel like it's simple and straightforward. One of the best ways to actually summarize a short story is by looking at each of the characters and seeing the roles that they play. So, that is what we're going to do in this session. So the first question is the first clue actually. The protagonist wants to elope with Frank. She is more than 19 years old. So you've got the options over there: Harry, Eveline Hill, Little Kior, Miss Gavan. So the answer is obviously Eveline Hill. So remember, in the short story, she is just referred to as Eveline, but we get to know her surname because Miss Gavan always tells her to attend to customers and she refers to her as Miss Hill. So at this point, that is when we know her surname, when Miss Gavan actually calls her Miss Hill. That automatically makes Eveline's father Mr. Hill and Eveline's mother Mrs. Hill. And when we look at Harry and Ernest, her brothers, their surnames are obviously Hill as well. So Eveline is the main character, and she would like to elope with Frank. So eloping is a type of marriage where a person just goes and gets married without informing their family members or even having their family and friends at the ceremony. Then usually what happens is people just come back married, and that's when they inform loved ones that they actually went away and got married. So this is what Eveline wants to do, but in her case, she's obviously not going to come back. She is going to Buenos Aires with Frank. She is more than 19 years old. She doesn't really say whether she is above 19 or she's just means that she just turned 19 and she's just above 19, in between 19 or 20. It's not really specified. But the reason why we get to know her age is actually mentioned is because of her abusive father, who threatens her at such an age that he can still beat her up. Even though he didn't really beat her when she was younger, he would actually beat her older brothers. But now, as a young adult above the age of 19 years, he is threatening to actually hit her. The next character, actually, the next clue that we get is a sailor who lives in Buenos Aires. He calls Eveline Poppins. So, obviously, as you might have guessed, this is Frank. So, Frank is the one that wants to elope with Eveline. He has asked Eveline for a hand in marriage. He is a sailor. And according to what he tells Eveline, he started working on the deck as a very young boy. Frank is not trusted by Eveline's father, who feels that he is not a person to be trusted. He doesn't trust sailors because he views them as people having marriages, not marriages as such, but having women in every continent or every country that they don't. So he doesn't trust him and he doesn't approve of the relationship between Frank and Eveline, which again goes on to, if one can argue and ask why Frank doesn't ask Eveline's father for a hand in marriage. This would probably be one of the reasons why he doesn't, because he knows that the father doesn't approve of their relationship. Now, moving on to the next clue, number 3, a drunkard. Let's just go back to number 2. Yes, let's just tick off Frank there. So now the next clue is a drunkard, abusive, and a widower. if you look at the options given there, it's obviously Eveline's father, Mr. Hill. So he's a drunkard. He doesn't give, and it's very ironic that he doesn't give Eveline money when he's supposed to. And he says that she doesn't use her brains, that she's very silly, she's very stupid and not very intelligent. Yet he is very irresponsible, and Eveline is actually much more responsible than him because she takes the money that her brother Harry sends her and the little money that she earns and tries to look after the family. And Eveline's father is actually a drunkard. He wastes his money drinking. So it's very ironic when he refuses to give her money on that pretext that she is not very smart. But eventually, he always gives her the money last minute, and then she has to quickly rush out at night and in the evening, sorry, and get food and prepare for the family. He is also very abusive, as we can see that as I said earlier, that he actually threatened to hit her up, and verbally as well, by referring to her as not very intelligent. That's why he doesn't want to give her the money. And she also mentions that at a young age, Ernest and Harry always got a beating from him. And we find that when the children were playing in the field, he would go there holding um, a stick which had thorns on it. And little Kiyogo will be the one who actually alerts them that the father is coming. And so he's very abusive. And even it's also hinted at in the text that he was also very abusive to Eveline's mother. And that's why she somehow didn't have any dignity. And then he's a widower. A widower is a man that lost his wife because Eveline's mother is late. So Eveline's father is a widower because he never married again. Yeah. Then let's just go back there and take Eveline's father. We have the next clue, which is makes Eveline promise to take care of the family before she dies. I think you've guessed this one is simple and straightforward. So we have Tizidan, Eveline's mother, Eveline Hill, or Ernest. And the answer is Eveline's mother. So she became sick, and before she died, she made Eveline promise that she will look after the family, which is kind of sad as well because Eveline does look after the family and even sacrifices in the end to go with Frank. She decides to keep the promise that she made to her mother. The next clue is this person is Eveline's superior at work. We have mentioned her earlier on. So our clues, we've got Miss Gavan, Little Kyog, Blessed Mary, Margaret Mary Alacoque, Italian organ player. And it's Miss Gavan, who is not, according to the narrator, she is not very friendly towards Eveline. She's always embarrassing her in front of customers, telling her to look lively and telling her to attend to customers, making Eveline look as if she's incompetent and lazy. And obviously, Eveline, we can see she won't really miss the shop because of people like Miss Gavan. And she feels that Miss Gavan would be glad that she's gone because she feels like Miss Gavan actually resents her. So the mention of Miss Gavan as well comes in when Eveline is thinking about what people would say when they actually find out that she has eloped with Frank. So she somehow is also worried about people's opinions and what they would think of her. I keep forgetting to tick. So that is Miss Gavan. Then the next character is a person who works in a church decorating business and is a brother to Eveline. So over here, we've got obviously two answers, Harry or Ernest. So Harry is the answer. Harry is Evelyn's brother. And he helps her with some funds from whatever money he gets in the church decorating business. He sends it to Eveline to help her also try to look after the family. So he's quite a very responsible person as well. And you find that this church that they're referring to is obviously the Catholic Church. I mean, this is in Ireland, and Ireland is predominantly Catholic. So the answer is Harry. And then the next character, the next character is a person who is crippled, disabled, who could not walk and used to be on the lookout. So obviously, if you remember in the play, we've got the field that was there. And this field was where the children of the avenue, where Eveline stays, used to play in. Now that field is no longer there because they've built modern houses. So a developer has actually come and built modern houses there. So the when the children used to play, excuse me, when the children used to play, you find that there was little Kyok. He didn't really play with the others because he was disabled. So it's either he was walking on crutches, but obviously he had a problem with walking. And then he would be on the lookout when Evelyn's father comes and lets them know that their father is coming so that they could hide or run. Because the father was obviously holding a hawthorn stick. Hawthorn stick, it had thorns on it. Most likely he would beat them up if he found them there. So little Kyog was the one who was on the lookout, and he was crippled or disabled. Then the next person is Evelyn's childhood friend who has passed away. Again, another character, another child who Evelyn used to play with when she was young in that field that I just spoke about earlier. So now this character has died. And obviously, it's not little Georg because we've already spoken about him. So it is Tizidan. Tizidan is referred to, and they just mentioned that he passed away. So this is referring to the changes that have gone over the years as well, that there were people there, they were young, and now some of them are no longer there because they have died. So it is Tizidan. Then there's a family that moved back to England. Again, this is based again, it's mentioned, linking again to the theme of change as well. So Tizidan has passed away, and you find that there's this family, the Waters. The narrator mentions that the Waters children were also playing in the field that Eveline mentions. So the Waters have moved to England. So they are no longer living there in Ireland, but they are in England. So it's the Waters. And then their kids, so basically this family's kids used to play in the field with Eveline. So again, we've got another family because it was a whole lot of children from different families that used to play in the field. So these were the Divines. Nothing much is said about them. They just mentioned that the narrator just mentions that the Eveline and her siblings used to play with the Divines as well, the Divines' children. So it's the Divines. And then we have Eveline's older brother who is dead, and he was her favorite. So it is obviously in this case, it's not Tisidan, it's not the Waters, it's not Miss Gavan, it's obviously Ernest. So Ernest was her older brother. He never used to play. It's mentioned in the short story that he never used to play with them. And he was her favorite, and he has passed away, which is quite sad. For Eveline, you find that it's a lot of tragedy happening around her. She's lost her mom, she's lost friends, she's lost her brother as well. And this was her favorite brother. And then we have Eveline's father's childhood school friend. So they mention him, and Eveline doesn't, she always wanted to know what his name was, but she never really got a chance to know his name. But her father always spoke about him and that they went to school together. And he's now a Catholic priest living in Melbourne, Australia. So her father is very proud to have been associated at a young age with someone who eventually became a Catholic priest. As I said earlier, this is Ireland and they're Catholic, and the Catholic religion is not taken very lightly. So it's something he's very proud of. And whenever there are visitors in the house, he would show them the picture, the photograph that is hung on the wall of this Catholic priest. And then there's also a Catholic saint. There's material actually of a Catholic saint that is hanging there in Eveline's house. So the Catholic is Blessed Mary, Margaret Mary Alacoque. Now, when it comes to the Catholic religion, they also believe in saints. So someone who has lived a holy life and has been actually referred, um, can I use the word promoted? Promoted to be a saint. So in this house, they have these prayers to Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque because she was esteemed as very blessed. And then um, towards the end of the story when we are reading it, Eveline mentions the organ player. So basically, I mean, this is way back in the 1940s, 1950s, way back. So there were organ players that would just play on the road, on the streets. And as she's sitting by the window, contemplating, reflecting on her life, and also being undecided on whether she's making a good decision to go with Frank or not, she all of a sudden hears an organ player, and he plays the very sound that was played when her mom passed away, and when she actually made her promise to look after the family. So it's like a reminder. She sits there, and then this organ player reminds her of that night that her mother requested her to try as much as possible and to keep the home together. And yeah, it's like an awakening call. And this probably is one of the reasons why she doesn't go with Frank, because to her, probably it could have been a sign. She felt like it's a sign that her mom is just reminding her of that promise. So there was an organ player that started playing whilst Eveline was sitting by the window contemplating everything. And then finally, we have another organ player that was paid sixpence by Eveline's father to go away when her mother was critically ill. We are not sure whether it's the same organ player, but it could be a different organ player. But this one is specifically, it's specified that he was an Italian organ player, because the father in the end says, "Damned Italians coming over here." So basically, that tells us that he was from Italy, and the fact that he was also playing a very sad tune from Italy as well. So now, because I mean, Eveline's mother is very sick, and then this person is coming playing a very sad song. Yeah, the father felt that he had to give him money for him to go away. So he was paid sixpence for just to go away and play elsewhere, not where they were, because they are already sad and all that. So that is the Italian organ player. It's quite important to note that there is one more character. Oh, yeah, I didn't choose the option here. The protagonist wants to elope with Frank is more than okay. We didn't choose Evelyn. We didn't select, but we spoke about Evelyn. So in the end, there was the man from Belfast. So the man from Belfast is the one that built houses. Basically, he's a developer. He bought the land where Evelyn and her siblings used to stay, and then he built houses there, the modern red houses, which are a direct contrast to the houses that Evelyn lives in.